A few years ago, I reconnected with an old acquaintance on social media. It started slow. He would like things that I posted every now and then, which grew to him liking almost everything over the course of a few months. I took it as a cue that he liked me, but I was too shy to make a move. It was cute, but not something that I paid much attention to. He would post cryptic lyrics, and we didn't have much in common. Around the same time, I started to get that cliche feeling that I was being watched. For reference, at the time I lived in a house in the woods. It would be very easy to hide in the bushes. Our lawnmower wasn't the best, but it worked. You could adjust the height of the grass, and somehow that mechanism broke while my brother was out mowing the lawn. So we ended up with some weird patches of bald grass. No big deal. Later that night though, I saw a post from that old acquaintance about patterns in the grass. It seemed like a song lyric, but I couldn't find a song that matched up with it. I didn't think anything of it until I was outside the next day, and realized our lawn had some strange patterns after that mishap. I, being a big old paranoid weirdo, got a bit freaked out. I tried to calm myself down. It was probably nothing, right? Plus, what could I even do? It proved nothing. A few nights later, I had the same creepy feeling, and so I went out on our porch. It's large and there's no easy way to sneak up. We are partially earth berm, so it runs along the second story, and the edge is mostly in the air or it's fenced, so I felt safe. I waited, listening for anything, and then I sort of just started yelling, like he was there. I said that I thought he was really creepy. I talked about all the terrible things I would do to him if he ever made the mistake of coming near me, and then I went back inside. I know that it sounds dumb, but then he unfollowed me from all social media, stopped liking everything that I posted, and left me alone. And when I went to his profile, he had deleted that song lyric about the patterns in the grass. Maybe it was all completely coincidental. That's what I would like to believe. Maybe he finally got sick of my ramblings and that just happened to coincide with my speech. Or maybe he was out there in the woods watching and listening. This happened around 2011 when I was still in high school. At the time, I really enjoyed PC gaming, and eventually started getting into a specific MMORPG. I wasn't really very good at it, but I wasn't playing to make friends or anything, only joining parties when absolutely necessary. For a few months, I just logged on and played some quests and did the usual thing. Because it was so long ago, excuse me that I can't remember all the game-specific terminology. Now, if I remember correctly, the game worked as follows. Some areas like cities or towns were public spaces, so when you were there you would be able to interact with other people, also currently there in their respective gameplay. If someone wasn't actually in your party, you would have no contact with them when entering into a private space outside. One day when moving about in one of the public areas, I was approached by another player. We'll call him Andrew, just chatting to me. He was friendly and I didn't really sense any red flags. It was a very standard interaction, but also probably one of my first that wasn't quest related. Andrew was friendly and offered to help me with whatever I needed to do in the game next. At some point, he just randomly asked me whether I was really a girl. My avatar was female, but my username didn't really offer any information relating to my gender. So I confirmed, albeit confused, that I am a girl, and that seemed to be it. We continued on from there, did the quest, and after adding him as a friend, I logged off eventually. Everything seemed fine. A few days later, I played again, and with what I assume must have been my newfound confidence in my friend-making skills thanks to Andrew, I did a quest with some other people who offered to let me join their guild. I was sort of stoked because I've never had a guild offer before, so I immediately accept and join their guild. Even though it was tiny and unimportant, I was happy. The next day I log on and Andrew was also online. The game publicly showed your guild affiliation and he immediately, angry I guess, he reprimands me that I shouldn't just join any guild, and demands that I leave it, because he wanted me to join his guild instead. I'm very confused, but I feel like I've somehow betrayed my friend, so I do as he asked and accept his invitation to join his guild. Though I felt bad for just immediately dropping my previous guild, I do cheer up a bit when I note that Andrew's guild is rated insanely high. The next time I log on is where things start getting weird. Just to clarify, I had never exchanged any personal information with Andrew. All he knew about me is that I identify as a female. Not only did I value my privacy in-game, and had never exchanged personal information with anyone on there, I had never posted on any public forum about the game, never joined a game-related group, and I hadn't even liked it on Facebook. As far as I know, there is no way to link me to my account. But I log in and Andrew greets me in chat by my full name and surname. Now, my username was not related to my actual name, and I had never told him anything personal about myself, including my name and surname, so I was confused. However, I assume perhaps since I haven't been playing that long, I just didn't totally understand the mechanisms of the game, and perhaps my name was available somewhere. His messages become weirder and more evasive. I remember him specifically saying, "I can't live not knowing what it feels like to touch your skin," followed by many messages of him speculating what I must feel and smell like. I log off and have no idea what to do. As stupid as I am, I decide to try and freak him out, so I do some snooping of my own. I remember all I did was look up the guild Facebook group, and I think he was one of the admins. He was the guild leader, I believe, so it wasn't so hard. At the point, I didn't know his full name yet either, but it was easy to figure out. Let's say that his username in game was Ancrew, just one letter off from the admin called Andrew. Next time that I logged back into the game, he was online as well. Once again, he greets me by my full name and surname. I respond with the same since I now know what his name and surname is. However, he is unfazed. He responds by asking me how things were in my neighborhood and at my school, by naming them both. He knows where I live and where I go to school. I immediately logged off, uninstalled the game, and I've never been back. I still don't know how he got that information since it wasn't publicly available anywhere. I still have his full name and surname and checked his Facebook a while back out of sheer curiosity. He's a professor at a university of science and technology. This story has a lot of build-up. So, I met this friend online the summer before my junior year of high school. I was 16. His name was Flip, and we clicked pretty much instantly. Our senses of humor matched up and I felt like we were really good friends. He was a guy, I was a girl, and I never really held romantic feelings. Also, I was in a relationship. When I was 16, he was 19. I could tell that he had romantic feelings and he let me know about 6 months into our friendship that he loved me. We didn't really have a stable friendship as he flipped out a lot and would go extended amounts of time without talking to me. He told me it because he couldn't bear to talk to me knowing that we can't be together because I was dating someone else. But I now know that it was more of a control thing, and he wanted to stop talking to me to make me feel like I'm missing something. He really hated women, really disliked women, and felt like most of them were just really bad. He told me he felt like I was different, that I was the only true woman that he's ever met. That's a big red flag. I was young and I didn't really think much of it. Our friendship was only online, iMessaging and FaceTiming. Now, when he went on these tangents where he would just abruptly stop talking to me, he would go on Twitter and make offensive demonizing tweets about me to people. Like awful stuff. When he came back, I just ignored that stuff because he would go back to being funny and nice. I'm building up to our IRL meeting, hang in there with me. So, he also had a habit of lashing out at people, taking revenge on people, and just making people feel like crap for fun. Another red flag. But I thought that I was special and that he really cared about me, and he would never do anything like that to me. I remember leading up to my 18th birthday, him being 21 now. He said to me, "When you're 18, you're sending me nudes. You don't get to say no." I brushed it off because I knew that I wouldn't, but yet noticed there's just this element of him wanting to dominate. Anyway, fast forward 2 years later, I'm now 18 and a freshman in college. In October, I broke up with my boyfriend, the same guy as I had at 16, and Flip took that as an opportunity. He would tell me he couldn't bear not seeing me, and that basically we have to meet or it's all over. Now, I didn't really have romantic feelings for him. My love for him was platonic, but I figured I'll try the romance. I tried to love him romantically. I couldn't lose him. So I impulsively bought a plane ticket to where he lives in December. My parents have no idea, and to this day they still don't. I was going to go away on a Friday and come back on a Monday. The college that I go to has a school in the city with an airport, so it was easy to just Uber to the airport. This romance that I'm trying to project feels real, and I genuinely feel like I loved him romantically. I was finally going to meet the guy that I loved. Now leading up to the flight, about 1 to 2 weeks before, I started getting cold feet. I was questioning the legitimacy of my feelings, and started getting it on with a guy in a neighboring uni. I started catching feelings for him, and I kissed him a day before my flight. At that point, I had already decided I didn't want to pursue Flip romantically, and I figured, hey, we've been friends for 2 years. When I get there, I'll tell him that I only want to stay friends. Yeah, he'll be upset, but I'm sure our friendship is worth more than that, and we'll be able to have a nice, enjoyable time together. How naive I was. I decided to go on the trip anyway, thinking that maybe seeing him would reignite that fire. Upon arrival, I realized that I did not love him, and I was no longer attracted to him. Regardless though, he was a close friend of mine for a very long time, and whether I felt a romantic connection or not, I wanted to meet him for the sake of meeting him, just how I would want to meet any internet friend. And so, it's time for the flight. It's very early. I remember sitting on the plane contemplating walking out. I really just wanted to leave and not return. I should have listened to my gut. I arrive and I go outside of the terminal. I see him sitting in his car just staring at me, like a very malicious, piercing stare. After a few moments, he gets out of the car. He looks different. It's strange because we had FaceTime and I had seen pictures of him, but he looks different, kind of creepier. We hug and sit in the car. It's awkward and I feel awkward. We make small talk and awkward jokes, and in that moment, I wanted to be back in my dorm. We go back to his apartment and we go up to his room. We smoke some weed and I lay down in his bed to sleep. When I wake up, he's spooning me and trying to fondle me. I take his hands off and tell him to stop, and then I sit up and basically unload about how I don't want him romantically, only as a friend. He just started crying and begging me to tell him that I love him. I tell him that I can't do that. He then stands up, drops crying, and goes to the bathroom and starts lighting stuff on fire. It smells like burning paper in the bedroom now. He comes out normally and just sits on his computer and plays games without talking to me. Now, the rest of the trip is just like a combination of him being kind and normal to him being completely evil. Here are some of the things that he's done and said throughout the 3 days. He made jokes about me dying. He would pretend to hit me, like lunge at me and get close enough and watch as I flinched. Told me that he also sent a snap at me to my mom with the geotag of his town so that I would get in trouble. Told me that he almost made me sleep in the car one night. Told me that one night while I was sleeping, he walked over me and started farting on me. He kept telling me to shut up when I would speak or ask questions. Did it multiple times in front of his roommates too. He was trying to feel me up in bed and I kept pushing his hands away, and he would keep trying and would say things like, "I know you want it, you're just holding back." He was calling me an idiot whenever I would ask questions. Served me spaghetti and told me he purposely used the moldy spaghetti sauce hoping that I would get sick. Told me that he was going to make me miss my flight home. Said that he was planning to drive in the opposite direction of the airport and dropping me off in the middle of nowhere. So basically, I kept my cool, and when he would tell me these things, I would nod and agree and laugh with him. I was scared out of my mind, and I wanted nothing more than to leave. So I kind of just kept it cool, and I spent my time trying not to upset him. Monday rolls around and my flight isn't until 8 p.m. Around 11 a.m. he goes downstairs to leave, and in that time I pack my bag and leave without him knowing. My plan of action is to run to the nearest shopping plaza and Uber to the airport from there. I wasn't about to Uber from his house. I am almost to the end of the street, feeling free, when I feel two arms come up from behind and wrap around me. He's hugging me, mumbles something in my ear, and then turns around and dead-on sprints back down the street to his apartment. I ran to the shopping plaza, called an Uber, and I got it. I felt so much relief in that moment. I felt like I was free. I waited at the airport with nothing to do for 8 hours, but it was better than being in there. I look back and I feel like an idiot. Like I should have gone to a hotel and I should have probably left. But I'm a broke college kid and I was already scared out of my mind being there without my parents' knowledge. After I left, I blocked him on every social media outlet that I have, even LinkedIn. He still has tried to contact me regularly for 4 months, but luckily, I never even told him my address or anything. A few months ago, my sister started talking to a boy online named Ben. The two of them had a lot in common and were only about a year apart in terms of age. We didn't think anything of it at first because it's normal to have online friends these days. My sister is really introverted, so it was nice to hear that she had someone that she could talk to. From what I understand, Ben was also there for her emotionally too, if that makes sense. My sister became quite attached to him. Ben also introduced her to a few of his friends as well. They all seemed like your typical edgy teenagers, the kinds that post selfies with emo song lyrics and stuff like that, similar to what she does. Ben seemed like a normal, caring friend, and even messaged me a couple of times when he was concerned about my sister being upset. He seemed genuine, and I was happy my sister had found someone like this. One day, my sister asked my mom if she could meet up with Ben in the city. He lived in another state and had organized to spend a week in our state with his aunt, so it seemed like the perfect opportunity for the two of them to meet up. They arranged a date and a time to meet in the city, and my mom and I went with her. When that day came though, he didn't even show up. He made some excuse that his aunt was driving him there, and we figured she was probably concerned about Ben meeting someone he only knows over the internet. I'll admit, I did have a really bad feeling about their meetup while we waited for Ben to show, but I stupidly ignored it. My sister, understandably, was quite upset that he hadn't shown up. Ben messaged me to apologize to us for having to run around after him. He explained that his aunt can be unreasonable sometimes. At that moment, I believed he was a decent person, and he wasn't lying about his situation. A couple of months had passed with just the two of them chatting away like normal. At some point, my mom gets the idea that she and my sister could fly to his state and meet him, and his mom in case she was worried. Ben liked that idea, and so they ordered the flight tickets. One day, out of the blue, my sister burst into my room, clearly frightened. She told me to block Ben and the two friends that he had introduced to her earlier. When I asked why, she explained to me that Ben had been a cover-up identity for a person that had previously threatened her using another account. All the pictures that he had posted were from someone else's account. She found this out and had confronted him. His two friends that he chatted with on his posts and everything were all fake accounts run by him to keep up the illusion. The person, after being confronted by my sister, admitted they were keeping tabs on her. They had been chatting for months and she had likely told him some personal things too. The flights were immediately canceled after my mom had found out, and we were all scared about the whole thing. I still am, and I'm even a little paranoid about sharing this. We couldn't tell the police because my sister was a dingus and didn't keep a copy of the messages the account had sent her. The account was taken down after we had informed the guy whose pictures were stolen about the incident. So, to whomever this person is, leave us alone.